The sun of the distant planet Ardent 7 shone bright, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Its two moons floated silently above the horizon, casting soft shadows on the metallic structures of the human colony. The colony was alive with activity. Ships landed and took off. Engineers checked systems and guards moved steadily, eyes sharp and alert. Every movement was precise, every sound purposeful. Among this bustle, a small shuttle descended slowly toward the main command center. Its hull gleamed in the morning light. Inside, Alex Carter, a young human officer, tightened his gloves and straightened his uniform. His heart beat fast, not from fear, but from anticipation. This was his first mission on a distant colony, and he knew the person in charge of this place was no ordinary leader. The shuttle touched down with a gentle thud. Alex stepped out and looked at the enormous building ahead. It was made of silver and glass, shining under the twin moons, a symbol of humanity's power and progress. He walked toward the entrance, passing soldiers and engineers who gave him polite nods. The air smelled faintly of ozone and metal, a strange mixture he was getting used to. Inside the command center, the atmosphere was tense. Screens lined the walls showing maps, star charts, and alerts. People moved quickly, typing codes and giving instructions. At the center of it all stood Captain Leora Vance. She was tall and imposing, her uniform sharp and spotless. Her hair was tied back in a strict bun, and her eyes scanned the room with the precision of a hawk. When she spoke, her voice was firm and clear, demanding attention. Alex watched her for a moment. He had heard stories about Captain Leora. She was known across the human colonies for her intelligence, bravery, and strictness. No one dared question her orders. But now, standing here, Alex felt a strange curiosity. There was something more to her than just discipline and authority. "Carter," a young officer called out, noticing him. "The captain will see you now." Alex nodded and followed the officer to the central platform. Captain Leora turned her head slightly, her eyes locking on his. She gave a small nod, acknowledging his presence without stopping her briefing. "Attention all crew," she began, her voice strong and commanding. "We have detected an unusual asteroid cluster approaching Ardent 7. The impact risk is high. Every section of this colony must prepare for immediate defense. Failure is not an option." The crew listened silently, some taking notes, others monitoring their stations. Alex felt the weight of the room. Everyone was focused, disciplined, moving with the efficiency of trained humans. It was impressive, and yet he noticed a tension beneath the surface. The crew followed orders out of respect and fear, but no one dared to speak freely. Captain Leora continued, her voice steady and unwavering. "Engineering teams prepare the energy shields. Navigation teams plot asteroid trajectories. Security ensure all civilians are safe and accounted for. This is not a drill. Every second counts." Alex was impressed. Her mind was sharp, calculating every risk, every variable. But then something unusual happened. As she spoke, she glanced at Alex briefly, as if sensing his presence differently. Her voice faltered for a second, almost imperceptible, but it caught Alex's attention. He felt an impulse he could not explain. The strictness, the authority, and yet the faint warmth in her gaze made him say something bold. Without thinking, he called out loudly, "You're so sweet!" The command center froze. Crew members blinked in surprise, unsure if they had heard correctly. Captain Leora herself stopped mid-sentence, her mouth opening slightly, eyes wide. For a moment, no one moved. The sound of machines, once constant, seemed to fade. Alex felt his heart race. He had expected a reprimand, maybe even anger. But instead, something unexpected happened. Captain Leora's sharp gaze softened. A tiny smile appeared at the corner of her lips, almost invisible, but Alex saw it. "You," she started, her voice quieter now. "You speak without caution, Carter." "Yes, ma'am," Alex replied, trying to stay calm. "But I meant it sincerely." The room stayed silent. Crew members exchanged uncertain glances. No one had ever spoken to Captain Leora like that before. Yet, in that silence, something unspoken passed between Alex and the captain, a small connection in a room full of tension. Captain Leora took a deep breath and regained her composure. "Very well," she said firmly, though her eyes still held a spark of curiosity. "Carter, you will assist in the defense operation. Follow my orders precisely. Any mistake could be catastrophic," Alex nodded. "Understood, Captain." As he moved to his station, he noticed the subtle changes in the captain. She continued her briefing, but her tone was slightly less rigid, more approachable. The crew, however, remained cautious. They had seen her authority bend for no one before, and now a young officer had done so with just a few words. The asteroid cluster was approaching faster than simulations had predicted. Alex worked alongside engineers, plotting shield coordinates and analyzing asteroid movements. Captain Leora moved among the stations, observing every calculation, every action. She was strict, demanding excellence, but Alex could sense a quiet approval in her gestures toward him. During a break, Alex approached the captain cautiously. "Ma'am," he said, "may I ask, why did you hesitate earlier?" "When I said that?" Captain Leora looked at him, her eyes calm but thoughtful. "Few people speak honestly to me," she admitted. "Most obey without question. Your words were unexpected. They made me pause and consider. Sometimes humans forget that courage is not just in action but in honesty." Alex smiled, feeling a mix of pride and relief. "I only meant to tell the truth." She nodded, her strict expression returning but softer this time. "Very well, Carter. Then your truth may yet prove useful. Focus on the task. We cannot afford distractions now." The hours passed quickly. The crew worked tirelessly, coordinating shields, recalculating trajectories, and preparing emergency protocols. Alex noticed small moments of humanity in Captain Leora's actions. She encouraged exhausted crew members to rest briefly, adjusted strategies based on suggestions, and even smiled faintly when a calculation went perfectly. It was a different side of her, one that few had ever seen. As night fell on Ardent 7, the twin moons rose again, casting silver light over the colony. The asteroid storm was visible in the sky, a massive cluster of glowing rocks moving silently but powerfully toward the planet. Alex stood beside Captain Leora on the observation deck, watching the looming threat. "You've been bold today," she said quietly. "Boldness can be dangerous, but sometimes it is necessary." Alex looked at her, feeling a mix of admiration and curiosity. "And you? You've been different too, Captain. I've never seen you like this before." She gave a small, almost shy smile. "Perhaps even a captain can learn from others. Even if it is in small ways," Alex nodded, understanding. Humanity was not just about rules, discipline, or power. It was also about courage, honesty, and empathy. He felt proud to be part of this crew, part of a human story that was just beginning on a distant planet. The night was calm, but the asteroid storm was coming. Alex knew the days ahead would test not only skill but the very spirit of humanity. And he also knew that sometimes a simple word, spoken with honesty, could change everything. Captain Leora turned back to the command center, her mind already planning the next steps. Alex followed, ready to face whatever came. Together, they would show that humans, even in the face of danger, could be brave, kind, and unstoppable. The stars above shone brightly, as if cheering for humanity's courage. And for the first time, Alex felt that the strict Captain Leora and he were no longer just leader and officer. They were two humans facing the unknown, ready to protect their home with every bit of strength, wit, and heart they had. The command center of Ardent 7 hummed with energy. Lights blinked on control panels, alarms occasionally beeped, and the crew moved with precise steps. Outside, the asteroid cluster glimmered ominously against the starry sky, a looming threat that could destroy parts of the colony if not handled correctly. Alex Carter adjusted his gloves and focused on the console in front of him. His fingers moved quickly, entering calculations and monitoring energy shield levels. He could feel the tension in the room. Every crew member understood the stakes. They were protecting their home, their friends, their lives. But beneath the urgency, a subtle change lingered from earlier. Captain Leora's reaction to his unusual remark. Leora herself stood tall on the central platform, arms crossed, eyes scanning every station. Normally, her presence demanded absolute attention, and the crew followed her orders without question. But today something had shifted. Though she continued giving commands, her movements were less rigid, her voice slightly warmer. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet Alex noticed it. "Engineering team report shield status," she said firmly. "Shields at 80% efficiency, Captain," replied one engineer. "Adjustments are holding, but asteroid velocity is higher than simulations predicted." Leora's eyes narrowed as she scanned the readings. "Increase shield output by 10% and prepare auxiliary generators." "We need redundancy." Alex tapped his console, calculating angles and energy requirements. Then, without thinking, he suggested, "Captain, if we slightly shift the shield focus toward the outer sectors, we might distribute energy more efficiently. It could prevent overloads." The room fell silent. Crew members froze, glancing at him. No one had dared suggest changes to Leora's orders before. Leora turned slowly, her eyes locking on Alex. For a moment she said nothing. Then she raised an eyebrow, the faintest hint of amusement and curiosity in her gaze. "Carter," she said carefully, "you propose a modification to my plan?" "Yes, ma'am," Alex replied. "It is risky, but it could protect more sectors from impact." A tense pause followed. Leora studied him for a long time, the silence stretching across the room. Then, surprisingly, she nodded. "Very well. Implement your suggestion, but proceed carefully. One wrong step and the consequences are yours." Alex's heart raced. He had expected criticism, maybe even punishment, but instead, she had trusted him. Slowly, he adjusted the shield parameters, watching as the energy redistributed across the outer sectors. Lights on the console shifted from yellow to green. Success. The crew exchanged glances, some impressed, others skeptical. They had never seen anyone challenge Captain Leora and succeed. Yet Alex noticed a subtle smile on her face as she returned to giving instructions. The captain's rigid authority seemed softened just slightly, allowing room for creativity and insight. Hours passed. The asteroid storm edged closer. Alex and Leora worked together, their combined knowledge guiding the crew through critical decisions. He noticed small human moments in her behavior. She asked a tired engineer if he needed a break. She encouraged a new recruit who had made a minor mistake. And she even laughed softly at a small miscalculation that caused a harmless explosion of sparks. During a quiet moment, Alex approached her again. "Captain, you seem different today. Not less strict, but approachable." Leora glanced at him, considering his words. "Carter, leadership is not only about rules and orders. It is also about understanding, about seeing people, not just positions. Perhaps I have been too rigid." Alex nodded, sensing that the storm outside mirrored the tension inside the colony. Humans are capable of a lot when they feel trusted. Discipline is important, but so is courage and honesty. Leora studied him silently. "You are bold," she said quietly. "And sometimes boldness saves more than caution ever could." The communication alarm suddenly blared. A new set of asteroids had broken off from the main cluster, moving unpredictably. Alex's console blinked red with warnings. "Captain! New fragments. They're coming fast." Leora's eyes sharpened, her commanding voice returning. "Engineering, reinforce shields at Sector Delta. Navigation, calculate intercept trajectories immediately. Security, prepare evacuation routes for civilian sectors." Alex worked alongside the engineers, following her orders while keeping an eye on the approaching fragments. The asteroid fragments moved erratically, threatening areas that the initial calculations hadn't covered. He suggested a small adjustment to the shield grid, explaining the benefit clearly. Leora listened carefully, then nodded with approval, allowing him to implement the change. The shields hummed louder as the energy redirected, and the fragments skimmed past the colony with minimal impact. Sparks flew from external shield emitters, but the system held. Crew members cheered softly, a mix of relief and disbelief. They had seen human ingenuity in action, an officer daring to speak up, and a captain willing to trust it. After the immediate danger passed, Leora turned to Alex. "You see, Carter," she said, voice calm now. "Human instinct, when paired with strategy, can achieve what rigid planning cannot." "You remind me of that." Alex felt a warm pride. "Thank you, ma'am. I only tried to do my part." For the first time, Leora's smile was genuine, not just a fleeting twitch. "Your part has made a difference today. Remember that, not just for me, but for yourself." Later, as the crew took a short break, Alex observed the captain speaking privately with her officers. He noticed her patience had grown. She explained complex calculations in simpler terms, asked questions instead of giving orders, and listened carefully to suggestions. The crew seemed less fearful, more engaged and more confident. Alex realized something important. Even the strongest leader could learn from others. Courage, honesty, and a simple act of trust could change the way people worked together. Captain Leora, despite her reputation for strictness, was learning this truth herself. The colony had survived the first wave of asteroid fragments, But the storm was far from over. The night outside was filled with moving shadows of space rocks, some small, some massive, all threatening. Alex returned to his station, determination in his heart. He knew the next hours would test their skills, their courage, and their humanity. Captain Leora approached him quietly. "Carter, I have a request. Stay close. We may need to make more split-second decisions, and I want your input." Alex nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I'm ready." She gave a small nod, then moved to oversee the navigation team. Alex watched her carefully, noticing how she balanced authority with consideration, discipline with openness. This was a rare glimpse of the human spirit in leadership, something that made humans unique across the galaxy. The colony prepared for the next wave of asteroid fragments. The shields glowed with energy, engines hummed, and communication channels were active. Alex and Leora worked side by side, a silent partnership forming between them. The crew felt it too, sensing that two humans working together, blending strategy with courage and empathy, could face almost any danger. Hours turned into a tense night. The asteroid storm battered the outer shields, but the colony held strong. Alex adjusted shields, calculated trajectories, and advised on resource allocation, while Leora made split-second commands, trusted her team, and occasionally glanced at Alex, acknowledging his input without words. Finally, the storm slowed. The fragments diminished, moving past the colony. Alarms quieted, and the energy shields glowed softly in the dim light of the twin moons. The crew exhaled, relief spreading like warmth through the command center. Leora turned to Alex, her expression a mix of pride and thoughtfulness. "Today humans showed what they are capable of," she said quietly. "Not just discipline or skill, but creativity, courage, and honesty. You reminded me of that, Carter." Alex smiled, feeling the weight of her words. "We're all stronger when we work together, ma'am." "Yes," she agreed. "Together, we can face even the stars themselves." As dawn approached, the first light of the twin suns reflected off the colony structures. The asteroid storm was not over, but the first battle had been won. Alex knew challenges lay ahead, but he also knew that humans, brave, creative, and compassionate, could overcome even the greatest dangers. The night had tested them, but it had also revealed the human spirit at its best. Alex glanced at Captain Leora, understanding now that even the strongest leaders could grow, change, and learn. And with that, the colony of Ardent 7 looked forward to a new day, stronger and more united than before. The colony of Ardent 7 had survived the first wave of the asteroid storm, but danger was far from over. Outside the observation windows, the stars were dotted with moving shadows, asteroid fragments of every size, some glowing faintly from the sun, others dark and menacing. Captain Leora Vance stood on the central platform, eyes scanning the consoles, mind calculating hundreds of possibilities at once. She had trusted Alex Carter's input during the previous wave, and it had worked. Yet she knew the storm ahead would be more dangerous. One wrong decision could mean catastrophe. Alex stood nearby, adjusting shield matrices and analyzing asteroid trajectories. His confidence had grown, but he felt the weight of responsibility pressing down. This was more than a simulation. This was the lives of the colony and its people at stake. "Captain," Alex said, pointing at a display, "the new fragments are moving faster than predicted. Some are on a collision course with the lower sectors. If we follow the current plan, we might not have enough time to activate emergency protocols." Leora looked at him sharply. "Explain your solution." Alex took a deep breath. "If we slightly rotate the shield grid in a wave pattern and preemptively activate auxiliary generators in the lower sectors, we can absorb the impact. It's risky because the energy distribution may strain the main system, but it could save more people than following the current procedure." The command center went quiet. Crew members glanced at each other, clearly unsettled by the suggestion. Few had dared propose a change to Leora's direct orders before. Leora's gaze swept across the room, then returned to Alex. "You suggest modifying a proven protocol," she said firmly, though her voice was calmer than before. "Do you understand the risks?" "Yes, ma'am," Alex replied steadily. "But I believe the risk is worth it." Leora hesitated, her mind calculating probabilities and potential outcomes. She had trained for decades to follow strict protocols, to trust calculations over instincts, and yet she had seen Alex's boldness save the colony once. Could she trust him again? After a long pause, she nodded slightly. Very well, Carter. Implement your plan. I am trusting your judgment. Alex's heart pounded. Trust from Captain Leora was rare and precious. Understood, ma'am, he said, moving quickly to his console. The next few minutes were tense. Alex coordinated with the engineering teams, adjusting shield rotations and powering auxiliary generators. The hum of energy shields grew louder as systems strained to accommodate the new configuration. Crew members watched anxiously, their eyes flicking between consoles and the glowing sky outside. Suddenly, the first massive fragment entered the atmosphere. It glowed brightly as it descended, its shadow stretching across the colony. Alex held his breath as the shield wave activated, energy rippling outward in a precise pattern. The fragment hit the shield with a powerful shock and sparks flew, but the system held. Good work, Leora said, her voice calm but firm. Continue the pattern. Alex adjusted for the next fragment, calculating angles and energy dispersal. One by one, the asteroids collided with the shields. Each impact sent vibrations through the colony, but the shields absorbed most of the force. The crew moved efficiently, following both Leora's commands and Alex's adjustments. Minutes felt like hours. Sweat ran down Alex's face, but he did not stop. The colony depended on him, and he knew it. Leora moved among the stations, observing every calculation, guiding teams, and making split-second decisions. Yet she also watched Alex closely, silently acknowledging his role in this life-saving strategy. Sector Delta reports minor energy fluctuation, one engineer said nervously. Compensate immediately, Leora commanded. Carter, adjust the auxiliary output by 5% in that sector. Alex quickly made the changes. The shield stabilized. The crew sighed in relief, their confidence growing with each success. Despite the progress, one large fragment veered unexpectedly, heading straight for the colony's lower residential area. Panic flashed in the eyes of some crew members. Leora's usual authority would demand strict adherence to the protocol, but she hesitated. The strict plan might not work here. She glanced at Alex, silently asking for his judgment. We can redirect the shield wave, Alex said quickly, but we need to overload the auxiliary generators briefly. It could strain the main system, but it's the only way to protect the civilians. Leora studied him for a long moment, weighing her options. Then she nodded. Do it. Alex acted immediately, redirecting the energy and activating the generators. The shield shimmered brightly, absorbing the fragment's impact. Sparks flew and alarms sounded, but the residential area was untouched. The crew cheered quietly, relief washing over them. Leora turned to Alex, her eyes softening slightly. You made the right call, Carter. Your courage saved lives. Alex felt a mix of pride and humility. Thank you, ma'am. I only acted on what I saw. The captain nodded, then raised her voice to address the entire crew. Today, humanity's strength was more than skill or technology. It was courage, honesty, and trust. Let this be a lesson to all. Each one of us, no matter rank or experience, has the power to make a difference. The crew absorbed her words, inspired by the combination of strict leadership and human ingenuity. Alex realized that humans were capable of more than rigid obedience. They could adapt, trust one another, and show bravery in the face of danger. As the asteroid storm finally slowed, Leora walked to the observation deck, Alex following. The sky was still filled with moving fragments, but the colony had survived the worst. The shields were holding, and the crew had learned to trust both their leader and one another. Carter, Leora said quietly, looking at the horizon. Today tested more than our skills. It tested trust. And you reminded me that even a captain can learn to trust others' judgment. Alex smiled. I think we all learned something today, ma'am. Humans are stronger when we work together. She nodded, her strict expression softening. Yes, stronger and wiser. Remember that, not just for missions, but for life. The night slowly faded as the twin suns of Ardent 7 rose, casting golden light across the colony. Alex felt a quiet pride. They had faced danger together, combining strategy, courage, and trust. Humanity had proven its resilience and ingenuity once again. But even as the morning light bathed the colony, Alex knew the storm was not completely gone. Challenges would come, bigger and faster. Yet he also knew that with Captain Leora, the crew, and the spirit of humanity, they could face whatever threats lay ahead. Tomorrow, Leora said quietly, we will rebuild, strengthen, and prepare. But today humanity proved its worth. Alex watched the stars fade, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. He had seen the best of human courage and ingenuity, and for the first time he truly understood why humans were capable of facing even the stars themselves. The colony of Ardent 7 was alive, not just with machines and technology, but with human spirit, strong, brave, and unstoppable. And Alex knew, as he stood beside Captain Leora, that together they could overcome anything, no matter how impossible it seemed. The colony of Ardent 7 was quiet now, the asteroid storm having passed. Outside, the sky glimmered with distant stars, and the twin suns began to rise, casting warm light over the metallic structures. Inside the command center, the atmosphere was calm, but tension lingered. Captain Leora Vance stood at the central platform, staring at the consoles. Her mind was busy not with calculations or orders, but with thoughts about leadership, trust, and human potential. The events of the storm had changed something within her. For decades, Leora had believed that strict discipline and precise protocols were the only way to protect the colony. Yet Alex Carter's bold decisions and honesty had proven her wrong. Humans were capable of much more. Creativity, courage, and trust could save lives in ways that rules alone could not. "Carter," Leora called, her voice carrying across the room. Alex moved quickly to her side, alert and ready. "Yes, ma'am," he replied. "We survived the storm," she began, "but the way we did it has made me reconsider how I lead. I want you to help me with something." Alex tilted his head, curious. "What is it, Captain?" "I want to create a new training program for the crew," Leora explained. "One that balances strict discipline with creativity, caution with boldness. I want humans to not only follow orders but also think, adapt, and trust one another." Alex smiled. "That sounds like a great idea, ma'am." "Humans are strongest when we combine skill with courage and empathy," Leora nodded. "Exactly. But it will not be easy. Not everyone will accept this change. Some will cling to old rules and rigid protocols. Others may embrace the new approach, but we must guide them carefully." The next few days were busy. Leora and Alex worked together, designing exercises, simulations, and discussions to teach the crew how to balance strict orders with creative thinking. They ran drills that allowed team members to make split-second decisions, encouraged input from every level, and rewarded both precision and initiative. At first, some crew members resisted. Engineers accustomed to following exact instructions worried that deviation could be dangerous. Security officers trained to obey without question feared mistakes. Leora noticed the hesitation and addressed it directly. "Discipline remains important," she explained during a briefing. "But humanity is strongest when we trust one another, when we allow courage and intelligence to guide action alongside strict orders. Today, rules alone would not have saved us. Trust and collaboration did," Alex added. "We all have different strengths. Some of us see calculations, others see patterns. If we combine them, the result is stronger than any one person alone." Slowly, the crew began to adapt. Small successes built confidence. During a simulation, a young engineer suggested a different shield configuration that allowed more energy efficiency. Leora listened carefully, nodded, and approved the change. The exercise succeeded, and the crew's morale improved. Even during meals and breaks, Leora and Alex encouraged informal discussions. They asked questions, listened to concerns, and praised creative solutions. The crew began to see that leadership could be fair, strong, and human, all at once. One evening, after a long day of exercises, Leora and Alex walked to the observation deck. The twin moons glowed softly, reflecting off the silver structures below. Alex glanced at her. "You've changed, Captain. Not in strength, but in perspective. The crew respects you even more now." Leora looked thoughtful. "Perhaps. But I also respect them more. Leadership is not about control alone. It is about understanding, trust, and guiding people to be their best. Humans can be both disciplined and brave, strict and compassionate. We just need the courage to embrace it." Alex nodded. "That's the human spirit in action. We are strongest when we work together, when we balance rules with creativity and trust." The next morning, a new challenge arrived. The colony received a message from a neighboring settlement. A minor asteroid cluster was approaching their sector, smaller than the previous storm but still dangerous. They requested assistance with shield coordination and emergency planning. Leora turned to Alex. This is an opportunity. We will test the new leadership approach under real conditions. Are you ready? Alex smiled. Yes, ma'am. Let's show them what humans can do. The crew worked quickly, applying the lessons from the new training program. Engineers suggested alternative shield angles. Security officers proposed improved evacuation routes, and navigation teams calculated precise trajectories. Leora listened, considered, and approved the best ideas. Alex coordinated between teams, ensuring smooth communication and execution. The asteroid cluster arrived, and the colony faced the challenge head-on. The shields glowed with energy, absorbing the impacts of small fragments. Crew members acted decisively, combining protocol with instinct. For the first time, the exercise was not just about following orders. It was about thinking, adapting, and trusting one another. When the storm finally passed, the neighboring settlement's communication system buzzed with gratitude. Your coordination saved lives. Your approach is remarkable. We wish all human colonies had leaders like you. Leora smiled, glancing at Alex. This is what I hoped for. Leadership that embraces humanity in every decision. Alex nodded, feeling proud. Humans can face anything when we work together. Courage, honesty, and trust, combined with skill, make us unstoppable. Over the next weeks, the colony continued to improve. The training program became standard, and the crew grew more confident. Mistakes still happened, but they were treated as lessons, not failures. Leora found herself laughing more, listening more, and guiding with empathy. Alex noticed how she balanced authority with understanding, showing that even the strongest leaders could grow and adapt. During one briefing, Leora paused mid-sentence, glancing at Alex. The crew noticed her subtle smile and felt a quiet reassurance. Leadership was no longer a strict hierarchy. It was a partnership between humans combining discipline, courage, and empathy. Alex realized that this change was more than strategy or efficiency. It was the essence of humanity, adapting, learning, and improving together. Even in the far reaches of space, humans could thrive because they were capable of both intelligence and heart. As evening fell, Leora walked to the observation deck again. Alex followed, and they looked out over the colony, now calm and peaceful. The storm tested us, Leora said softly, but it also taught us who we are. Humans are not just soldiers, engineers, or leaders. We are thinkers, creators, and collaborators, and that is why we survive. Alex nodded. We've learned to trust, to balance caution with courage, and to respect every person's contribution. That is humanity's strength. Leora smiled, her eyes reflecting the light of the moons. Yes, and we will continue to grow, face challenges, and show that humans can overcome anything. Together. The colony was alive with human spirit, stronger than ever. Shields, technology, and strategy were important, but it was courage, honesty, and trust that had saved them. Alex knew that the future would bring new threats, but he also knew that humans, united and resilient, could face the stars themselves. For the first time, the colony felt not just safe, but empowered. Humans were not merely surviving, they were thriving. And under Captain Leora's reimagined leadership, the crew of Ardent 7 was ready to face any challenge, blending discipline with humanity, rules with creativity, and courage with trust. The stars above twinkled, as if acknowledging the human spirit below. And Alex, standing beside Leora, felt that this was only the beginning. Humans were ready to shape the future, one brave, honest, and creative choice at a time. The colony of Ardent 7 had changed. The asteroid storm had passed, but its impact remained, not in destruction, but in the lessons learned. Captain Leora Vance and Alex Carter had shown the crew that humanity's strength lay not only in discipline and technology, but also in courage, honesty, and trust. The morning air was cool and bright, the twin suns casting golden light across the silver structures. Crew members moved through the corridors with quiet confidence. There was a new energy, a sense that each person mattered, that their ideas and actions could make a difference. Leora walked through the command center, observing the activity. Screens displayed asteroid paths, shield statuses, and supply levels. The systems were running smoothly, but Leora's focus was on the people. She stopped by an engineer adjusting shield calibrations. "Good work, Lieutenant," she said. "Your input yesterday saved the lower sectors. Keep applying what we've learned." The engineer nodded, pride shining in his eyes. "Thank you, Captain. It's easier to think when we know you trust us." Leora smiled faintly. Trust, it had become the core of her leadership. Discipline was still essential, but trust allowed humans to act with courage and creativity, turning potential disaster into success. Alex approached her at the central platform. "Captain, we received another communication. A neighboring colony needs assistance. A small asteroid cluster is heading their way. They request shield coordination and emergency guidance." Leora studied the display. The cluster was not large, but it was fast-moving and unpredictable. It would be a challenge even for an experienced crew. "This is the perfect opportunity," she said. "We will demonstrate what humans can do when we combine skill, courage, and trust." Alex nodded. "Yes, ma'am. Let's get the crew ready." The crew gathered for a briefing. Leora spoke clearly and firmly, yet her tone carried warmth and encouragement. "This mission is critical. But remember, we are not just following orders. We are thinking, adapting, and working together. Each of you has a role. Each of you has the power to make a difference." Alex added, "We have faced storms before. Today we show our neighbors that humans are capable of courage, intelligence, and unity. Trust your instincts, support one another, and act with purpose." The crew dispersed, energized and confident. Engineers calculated shield adjustments. Security teams prepared evacuation protocols, and navigation officers plotted intercept paths. Alex coordinated between the groups while Leora monitored every detail, approving adjustments and guiding decisions. As the asteroid cluster approached, the crew executed the new plan. Shields hummed with energy, glowing brightly as fragments entered the atmosphere. Alex adjusted energy distributions, while Leora made split-second decisions when unexpected changes occurred. Crew members worked together, communicating clearly and acting decisively. One large fragment veered off its predicted path, heading toward a civilian sector. Alex noticed it first. "Captain, a fragment is off course. If we follow the original protocol, it will hit the lower residential area." Leora's eyes narrowed. She could have followed the standard procedure, but she trusted Alex's judgment. "Redirect shield energy to Sector Gamma. Activate auxiliary generators at full capacity. You have my approval, Carter." Alex acted immediately, redistributing energy and reinforcing the shields. The fragment collided with the protective barrier, sparks flying, but no damage occurred. The crew exhaled in relief. "Excellent work," Leora said. "This is what happens when humans think, trust, and act together. Courage and discipline, intelligence and empathy. This is humanity's strength." The asteroid cluster passed, leaving the neighboring colony unharmed. Their communication system buzzed with messages of gratitude. "Your coordination saved lives. We are inspired by your leadership and your crew's courage. Humanity shines brightly in the stars." Leora glanced at Alex, a subtle smile on her lips. "Today we prove that humans are capable of anything when they work together. Not just technology, not just orders, but humanity itself." Alex smiled. "We learned that courage, honesty, and trust can be as powerful as any shield or weapon." Over the next few days, the crew integrated the lessons fully. The new leadership style became standard. Decisions were made collaboratively, yet efficiently. Mistakes were treated as opportunities to learn, not reasons to punish. Crew members grew more confident, proactive, and inventive. Even in daily routines, the change was visible. Engineers suggested improvements to machinery. Security officers proposed new patrol strategies, and navigators offered alternative routes for ships. Leora listened to each suggestion, weighing them carefully, approving the best, and explaining why some could not be used. Alex continued to play a vital role. His courage and honesty had inspired the captain, and now he was a trusted advisor. The partnership between Leora and Alex had become a symbol of human ingenuity and collaboration. Together, they demonstrated that leadership could combine discipline, empathy, and creativity. One evening, Leora and Alex stood on the observation deck, looking out over the colony bathed in the light of the twin moons. The sky was calm, stars twinkling quietly. "You know," Alex said, "humans are amazing. We can adapt, learn, and grow even in the most dangerous situations. That's why we survive." Leora nodded. "Yes, and we can also inspire others. Humans are not just survivors. They are thinkers, creators, and leaders. We have the power to shape the future." Alex smiled. "And it all started with trust, courage, and a little honesty." Leora chuckled softly. "Even a captain can learn from a young officer. Perhaps that is the most important lesson of all." The colony continued to thrive. Shield systems were strengthened, Emergency protocols improved and the crew's confidence grew. But beyond the technology and strategy, it was the human spirit that made the difference. Humans had faced storms, threats, and uncertainty, and had prevailed because they trusted, acted with courage, and embraced one another's strengths. Word of Ardent 7's success spread to other human colonies. Leaders studied the new approach, adopting a balance of discipline and creativity, strictness and empathy. Humanity's reputation as a courageous, inventive, and compassionate species grew across the stars. For Leora and Alex, the journey was personal as well. They had learned from each other, trusted one another, and built a team that could face any challenge. Their partnership was a symbol of what humans could achieve when they combined authority with understanding, courage with wisdom, and skill with heart. As the twin suns rose once more, casting golden light over the colony, Leora turned to Alex. "This is only the beginning. Humans will face many challenges, but we now know our strength. Courage, honesty, and trust. This is what defines us." Alex nodded. "And together we can face anything, even the stars themselves." The colony of Ardent 7 looked outward, ready for the future. Shields, technology, and strategy were essential, but the human spirit was what truly protected them. Brave, honest, and united, they were unstoppable. Leora placed a hand on Alex's shoulder, a rare gesture of camaraderie. "Humans are capable of greatness. Never forget that, Carter." "I won't, ma'am," Alex replied. "Not now, not ever." The stars above twinkled, silent witnesses to humanity's courage and ingenuity. The colony was not just surviving, it was thriving. Humans had proven that they could overcome danger, lead with wisdom, and inspire one another. The lessons of Ardent 7 would echo across the galaxy, showing that the best of humanity was stronger than any threat. And so, under the watchful eyes of the twin suns, the colony looked toward a new era. Humans would continue to explore, defend, and innovate, guided by discipline, creativity, courage, and trust. The future was theirs to shape, and they were ready. The story of Ardent 7 was more than survival. It was a testament to humanity itself. A species brave enough to face the unknown, honest enough to trust one another, and strong enough to show that even in the darkest storms, hope, ingenuity, and the human spirit would always shine.